we've done Luke. We've done Udonis Haslam.
Just checking his list, checking it twice.
Let me get through my rundown. Yep, I had Haslam.
I mean, the bench won them the game.
Haslam.
Sure. Honestly, they were going to win the game no matter what happened.
I was going to say the bench, the starters.
I don't know. It was pretty even early with the starters in there.
But this one.
So can we talk about the thing that matters? Is Jayson Tatum okay, guys? Is he okay?
You still worried about that?
Is he going to be okay? Is he going to be okay?
He needs a hug or something.
He might need a hug. He looks like his puppy ran away and like his best friend told him we're not best friends anymore, or like something. He got dumped.
He doesn't have that pop that we're used to seeing.
He's just he needs a break. Does he need a break right now? And someone just put a comment up here as Bobby and I were talking about this. He's in a weird place right now, isn't he? Like he looks off, but like also like his first two possessions of the game.
Had two turnovers.
Almost. One got bounced back. I call that one the Jalen. Where he dribbles off his knee, but it amazingly
Jalen got blocked tonight.
Back into a Celtics hand.
Jalen got blocked tonight, and the ball landed back in his hands for a basket.
He's been working really hard this year, John. Right, and he's also been killing it for the last month. Jesus,
I'm just kidding. I just did that for Louise, but
no, it actually happened to Jalen tonight.
It did. But I feel like
I know, Bobby, but it's been
first
a while.
two possessions of the game, he has a should have been a turnover and a turnover, and then brick, which again, fine, you'll miss some shots, but he looked all over the place, right? And it just wasn't the start that you wanted because he's been dragging ass on this trip a little bit. He looks a little worn down. So I don't think Jayson Tatum turned into a bad basketball player overnight. He's in a funk right now. I desperately want to see him sit tomorrow. Desperately.
And you know what the crazy part is? He had 26, 8, and 5 with one turnover. I mean, his numbers don't really align with the eye test. Because when you watch him play,
well, he was 9 of 23. One was a 3-pointer off the backboard. He airballed another 3. So he basically intentionally hit a third of his shots, which wasn't great. So he's a little bit off. But this is what Bobby and I were talking. I think Zach put it up earlier. When he's not playing, so Bobby and I were kicking this around on the thread, and everybody agrees. Even Derek White's dad agreed on Twitter the other day. let the point guards run the offense, right? Point Tatum has been a crusade of mine I've been against for a while. But good point somebody put up here, which is when you take the ball, two things are happening. When you take the ball out of Tatum's hand, he can't be Point Tatum and kind of get into his rhythm and find his groove and do his thing, which can sometimes, send him off into 50-point land, or he has one of those nights where you're like, all right, dude, you're done here. But when he's off ball, he's kind of doesn't do anything, right? Because he's not a dead eye knockdown spot up shooter, and he kind of stands around a little bit when he's playing off the ball, and he's just another guy. And there was a couple of stretches tonight where it looked like it, where he just wasn't involved at all, and that's the risk of taking him off the ball. And then also you have Jalen F this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put up 29 shots tonight. And there's another 30 trips down the floor where Tatum's not involved at all. So it's not a dilemma. They've got 50 wins. Whatever they're doing works out fine, but there isn't a perfect solution, right? There's not a perfect solution with how to do it. You almost kind of have to let him have the ball in his hands and do his thing.
Yeah, because you're thinking, go ahead, Bobby.
Your best player needs to be capable of consistently making plays in that spot. I just don't think, as much as I want to see more Derek White in that spot, and they need it, and I think tonight you saw it again after they did that well in the last game, getting him more touches, getting him more involved. It's going to come down to Tatum.
I agree with this, but Tatum's not that guy, and he's proven it. I'm sorry, Arya, but go ahead, Bobby. But yes, go ahead.
Even if Tatum gets off the ball, there's still going to be shot selection questions. There's still going to be decisions he needs to make, even if he's in the second part of the action rather than the first. But they've made that decision that they want guys spaced. They want him attracting pressure. And then they want guys attacking behind that play. And unfortunately, I think what's impacted Tatum most on this trip, besides fatigue, if you feel like that's starting to set in here, is that the pressure impacts him. And I thought they got the ball to the right spots tonight. He actually had 8 assists in this game, which is really good. And he's continued to drive that number up here. But you're able to take him out of the game as a defense, as a scorer, if he's at the point of attack. So at that point, like we talked about after that Nuggets game, can you put him in different positions where he's able to get the ball and score in an easier position? Because he's still going to look to score, Sherrod, which is great because you need that. Like if he's too passive, you end up with a result like that Denver game. But you're also going to end up like nights like tonight where he's 9 of 23, nights like the Phoenix game where he's missing a ton of shots. I like the approach overall tonight just because he has to keep shooting. We had this debate too, John. He has to keep shooting. He can't just take 10 shots and keep passing the ball.
He can't.
The shot taking is not the issue. To me, it's the diversity of the offense and putting him in different positions to take shots. I think they sometimes get too one-dimensional when he has the ball where it's like he's either going to pull up or he's going to drive all the way to the hole and attract.
Or he's going to be standing on the side.
Or he's going to stand And to me, when did Tatum do any post-ups in this game? I mean, did he do any, elbow, get the ball at the elbow and force the defense?
No, and he was back to struggling with his finishes too. And then
the one play I love though, he drew 2 in the post and did that little dump off to Brissett. I love that play.
Yes. But see, the thing about it, he has the ability to be as impactful as he is. He has the ability to be so much more when you start moving him around more. When you take him off the ball a little bit and put him in a position where he has to make a quick, decisive movement or decision that defense maybe not have an opportunity to react to. And because his playmaking has improved so much, he becomes a much deadlier player because then if he gets the ball on the elbow or on a block, he can score, fade away, find a teammate, reset the offense and just take you off the dribble. There's so many more things he can do when they move him around more and don't just give him the ball at the top of the key and then just go flat.
It's funny, Sherrod. We used to say that about Jalen, right? Like you give him that enough of time to make a quick move. When you know there's someone that can't stay in front of him, you go to it every single time. And it's funny because with Jayson, I feel like when he turns into a playmaker, it's good because you're gonna get the attention of like at least 2 defenders, 3 maybe, right? I mean, that's what typically happens. So you find the open guy, but because he's been sloppy with it, or inconsistent the last 3 or 4 games, it's been tough to watch because there's like at least two other playmakers that could do a better job at it, So I think there's a balance for that, and I do think it is important for Jalen for Tatum to mix that in, some of that playmaking in, because he is capable of it. But just right now, I just feel like it's been off, and I think this game was a good opportunity for him to kind of get it back in a sense. But what I love about this, though, especially in this box score, is the fact that he was able to get the free throw line. And I'm surprised because I thought it was less. He was 6 for 8 tonight. Jalen didn't get to the line once. I just feel like between the two of them, like that's weird. Like they should both be able to get to the line.
I thought Jalen should have. I'm not a like the refs sort of guy. There were some marginal plays where I thought Jalen drew contact, but he ended up with the bucket anyway and didn't get some fouls.
Yeah,
they were letting stuff go in this game.
They let it go. I didn't think he was shying away from it, but Tatum was back to his a little bit of kind of cutesy soft finishing where he's not getting his rolls and then still looking for a call. You want the call, go hard. Like maybe you're not going to get that whistle all the time, but initiate the contact, play through it if you want to get the calls. That's what I don't really understand about Tatum's game when it comes to going to the rim. It's still a little bit of, kind of angles, instead of right at the rack sometimes. And, he's having to put up these tougher kind of, shots here and he's falling out of bounds and taking himself out of play. So this was one of those, he really struggled. I don't know what the final numbers were, but he missed 6, 7, 8 shots in the paint.
Attacking the rim is where Jalen and Jayson are clearly different. Jalen is playing with force when he goes to the rim. He's not trying to get a foul. He's trying to get a bucket. And if you get in the way, shame on you. You just might lose a tooth.
He's
Or
he's
you
he's
just
like
might-
baby Giannis right now.
Yeah.
Like he's
But
bullying
Tatum
his
is
way.
more finesse.
And he's doing it when he backs people in the post too. It's boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
And here I am at the
There's
basket.
so much
Where did
power
you
and
go?
aggression.
Yeah,
in his
A
game.
lot of power now.
Jalen wants that heat. He wants that smoke. He wants that physicality. Tatum doesn't, and that's not a knock against him. That's just who he is. That's his game. Even though he's filled out to the point where he can actually take that, he can absorb that, he can deliver that physicality in certain matchups when he chooses to. But he's very selective about that. And to be candid with you, I wish he did it more, because I think there are a lot of matchups where Tatum is just physically stronger than the dude that's trying to guard him. And he can easily take that dude on the block and force the defense to adjust, because right now you want to keep Tatum on the perimeter. You want to keep him in front of you. You want to make him shoot contested jump shots. And Tatum doesn't have to do that to be a big-time scorer. He can take a lot of guys off the dribble, get to the elbow or get on the block and shoot right over the top of them, because a lot of teams are playing centerless basketball where you got a guy that's 6'8", 225, 230 playing center. Which is not someone that can physically impose their will on him the way, a Joel Embiid or Jokic would. So I keep telling myself that the things that we're recognizing that that can expand his game are things we're going to see in the playoffs. I keep telling myself that. Maybe it's a Jedi mind trick I'm playing on myself.
It's still, the problem is though he can get to those spots, but he's still one of the worst pull-up shooters at volume.
That's the problem right now.
In the
I
league,
don't
and
hate
that's a
the
problem
approach.
because I don't hate it either. I think it's fine. It's just when it doesn't go well, it's easy to scrutinize because I think it looks a little bit predictable and deliberate, and I think teams can load up on it. And I think right now, and again, whether you want to believe in the NBA conspiracies that they're letting more stuff go because they want to tamp down scoring a little bit and not letting guys get to the line as much, or blah, blah, blah. I know that there's a lot, of buzz out there about what's going on, but if that's happening now and it's going to happen a little bit more in the playoffs, that's not great for a guy like Tatum, who does a little bit too much foul hunting on some of his drives, and right now isn't able to do what a guy like Durant does, which is just or even a Butler. Butler's not a great shooter or like prolific offensive player, but he's prolific at getting to his spot, rising up, getting his shot and knocking it down. Tatum's not that guy. Tatum doesn't have a spot per se. You know what I mean? He really is kind of like a rock the baby. Let's get to the let's get by my guy, either with a sidestep pull up, which isn't super efficient, or he has, getting to the rim. If he's not finishing though, that's a huge problem. That goes back to like what we were having, what Joe was talking about last year, Bobby, with Tatum. Every time you miss a play at the rim, the other team's going back in transition. How many missed Tatum layups end up with threes the other way? So he has to finish when he gets there. When he's not, it just looks bigger, because you're expecting him to do it. And that's kind of how he's getting his points right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting
unless
too.
he has one of those like, Tatum's cooking games, but I just don't think there's enough of them where he's just striping it from long range and hitting those pull-up threes in people's faces. It's really pretty and it's great when it happens. I just don't think it happens with enough frequency that it's like something you can count on. There's way too much variance with that, depending on that.
Yeah, and one thing I've tracked with him this year is the drives. He's down in that sense, and I thought last year he hit a good stride in terms of the amount of drives to the basket he was taking. And, I think there's different explanations for that, just in terms of how they're setting up the offense. You have Porzingis in that lane now. They're trying to set up him a lot there. They've been setting up other guys with post-ups. I even I don't know if you noticed this a little bit, John, last couple of games, but him and Brown are sort of playing at the top of the key together. I think they're trying to put their defenders in the same space, and Brown's been able to kind of slip out of those spots downhill. So there's definitely more of an emphasis on Tatum, as Josue was talking about earlier, drawing guys to him and then passing downhill from there and playing with an advantage. Joe talks about that all the time. So this is a debate we're going to have. Are you using Tatum more as a finisher, scorer in different positions on the floor, or are you using him as the point of attack who's going to draw in the pressure and set other guys up? Because they've actually built a pretty good dynamic, and it's a big reason Brown's really rolling this season and last year to some degree too, is that the pressure hits Tatum, Brown's able to go and attack a guy one-on-one off that.